What is going on, Swoopers? Welcome back to another episode of Swoop Luke. In this episode, we'll be talking about Nick Daicos, the draft, and how we're going to get him. Before we jump straight into it, be sure to follow me on all my social media accounts: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, all Swoop Luke. If you are a new swooper, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. Be sure to hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, and if you are a returning swooper, welcome back. Thank you so much for rejoining me. Now, Nick Daicos, the buzz of the town, the talk of the town. At number one, draft prospect. But we know that the Kangaroos will take Horn-Francis with their draft pick number one. So where's Nick Daicos going to go? How are we going to get him? Do we have enough draft points? What the hell are draft points? Let's get into it. So before we jump into talking about Nick Daicos, the draft, where he's going to go and stuff like that, we need to explain the draft, the point system, the bidding system, how it all works. I'm going to give you a TLDR, which means too long didn't read. So it's going to be a short, quick summary. Start the timer. So in the off-season, at the end of every year, the young guns around Australia get drafted into the AFL draft, like the NBA, like the NFL, like every major sort of franchise around. So how does the draft work? Well, every team gets one pick. That's based on their ladder and where they finish. The team that finished 18th, so last on the ladder, gets pick number 1, 17th, 2, blah, 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 all the way to the top. So this goes on for a bunch of rounds until pretty much all the draft picks are taken up. But the thing with the AFL now is that you can trade draft picks. So the Kangaroos finished last, they get draft pick number 1, right? They could potentially, or they could have, traded their pick number 1 for, pick number, to another club for, let's say they traded it to Adelaide and they got Adelaide's, whatever it is, pick 5 and Adelaide's pick 12 and a good player. So they bundle up and now Adelaide's pick number 1. Now that's a bit convoluted. The higher draft picks don't really go out all the time, but it does happen. Draft picks can get traded and I'll explain why. So a few years ago, the AFL brought in the draft pick index. What that means is that every single draft pick up to I think about 73 has a draft value or has a point value. So pick 1 has a point value of 3,000 points. Pick 73 has a draft pick value of 9 points. 9 points? Something crazy like that, something really low. So what this means is that when a player gets bid on, when there's a father-son or an academy player that a team when there's a father-son like Nick Daicos that a team can pick up, instead of Collingwood using their first pick, number 38, because he's definitely coming to us as a father-son, other teams can bid on him and we have to match their bid. So it keeps all the teams on their toes. Nick Daicos, obviously one of, if not the best player in the draft. They're not just going to let him go to pick 38, our first pick, obviously. So they pick, someone bids on him early. We have to get all those draft points to match him. Now, the beauty about father-son picks and academy picks is that the teams that they're assigned to get a discount. Father and sons get a 20% discount. So if the Kangaroos bid on Nick Daicos at pick 1 is worth 3,000 points, but with a 20% discount, it is now worth 2,400 points and we only have to match 2,400 points. Stop the clock. Hopefully that didn't confuse you too much. It confused me while I was recording this, editing and talking about it. It's very convoluted, but once you get your head around it, it's pretty easy. Draft picks reverse order, points for every single draft pick, highest to lowest. Bob's your uncle. Also, it's a little bit of a thing to remember that draft picks can still be traded during the draft. So each team, I think, has 3 to 5 minutes, or I think last year was 5 minutes because it was just long as before they pick a player. They can trade draft picks from 2022 as well with clubs while they're on the clock. So that's a little bit of a tidbit as well. But after all that, let's explain how we're going to get Nick Daicos. So I keep talking about how Nick Daicos is the best player in the draft, potentially a number one pick, but will he go number one? Short answer is no. I think, or I know, well, I don't really know, but it's a consensus in the footy world that the Kangaroos, with their first ever number one draft pick, will use that to draft Jason Horne-Francis with their, obviously, number one draft pick. So they've got those. They've got Jason. So they've got the second best player in the draft as their number one draft pick. He gets all the party poppers, all the streamers about being number one, and he has to wear that. And by all means, he looks like a kid that will take that on and relish that number one draft spot. Pick number 2, Collingwood's because we finished 17th. Wrong. We traded that out. If you would remember last year, we traded out our pick number 2 in the 2021 draft for a couple of picks in the 2020 draft. Now you're probably thinking, why the hell did we do that? That's so stupid because, Look, in hindsight, it looks a little bit weird if you look at, not in hindsight, but if you look at it, you go, oh, that's weird. But we traded our pick 2 to GWS for a bunch of their picks. We picked up Caleb Poulter, Liam McMahon, Bo McCreary. Couple of those players probably don't come to the Pies if we don't make that trade. Now, why did we trade out pick number 2? Because any sort of pick in the top 10 would have resulted in us using it on a Nick Daicos bid anyway. You know what I mean? So, say we have pick number 2. Do you really think that the Kangaroos are going to let Daicos come to our pick number 2 just like that? No. They're going to make us earn it, right? So, even if we had pick 3, 4, 5, or 6, we would still, if Daicos got bid before pick 3, 4, 5, or 6, we would have to use pick 3, 4, 5, or 6 to match points for Nick Daicos. So, we still only get one pick. So, we trade out that pick. We bring in other picks to kind of get those points back. Now, GWS have pick 2. So, the Kangaroos have pick 1. They go with Horne-Francis. GWS have pick 2. So, let's just say that they now go with Mac Andrews, who's bolted up into the top 10, maybe the top 5. And then it's Gold Coast's turn with pick 3. Now, Gold Coast were the only team to invite Nick Daicos so they can present their academy in their stadium if Nick Daicos wasn't going to go as a father-son, if he turned Collingwood down. Luckily, thankfully for us, he didn't turn the Pies down, and the Pies have him. Either way, he's definitely coming to the Pies, so get that notion out of your head that, maybe he won't come to the Pies. He's definitely coming to the Pies. But I think that because Gold Coast showed Daicos that, they'll bid on him with pick 3, which means that we have to match pick 3. Now, pick 3 is worth 2,234 points, but with a little bit of quick math and the 20% discount, pick 3, we only have to match 1,787 points for Nick Daicos. So, can we do that? Yes, we can. Currently, we have 2,400 points to play around with. So, if a bid comes on him at pick 1, we have enough points to match that bid, but we'll use most of our draft picks. We can still trade and stuff like that, but we'll use most of our draft picks. So, 1,787 points. So, to do that, we would have to eat up our first 5 draft picks, which are 36, 38, 40, 46, and 48. That means that we get Nick Daicos. We only have to use the 5 draft picks. We fall right down. I think our next draft pick would be 55, and then we can bid on, and then we can pick other players. But in saying that, you would think that Collingwood would use some of their 2022 picks, which they have a plethora of in the second and third round, to get back into the 2021 draft. Maybe they go for a pick in, maybe not the 20s. You would hope a pick in the 20s, but more likely be pick in the 30s. So maybe a pick in the third round to get back in, because you need to take a minimum of 3 players in the draft. But TLDR, I think that Nick Daicos goes at pick 3, or gets bid on at pick 3. We match his bid, of course, and we still have a little bit of draft points, and we still have a little bit of draft picks and the draft picks from next year to play around with and bring in a couple more players. And that's pretty much how we draft Nick Daicos. Like I said, do I think he's number 1? Yes. Will he go number 1? No. Will he go number 2? No. I don't think the Giants will use their pick 2 that we gave them to bid on Nick Daicos. Because if they did that, It will be a feisty game when we verse them next. Do I also think that other teams should keep us accountable? Do I think that the Kangaroos should bid on Nick Daicos with their pick 1? Yeah, of course I do, because I think that, you know, at the end of the day, it's a competition, right? You want to make your opponents pay the price for their good draft picks, but it's not going to happen. I think Gold Coast bid on him with pick 3. We matched the bid. Nick Daicos goes in the top 3 of the draft. Anyway, guys, this has just been my convoluted, hopefully quick video on the draft, how it works, how we're going to get Nick Daicos to the club. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Do you think he's going to go pick 3? Do you think the Kangaroos are going to pull one over us and he goes pick 1? Would love to know all your thoughts down below. But until then, like, comment, subscribe, tell your family, tell your friends, tell your pets, and until next time, double shackers. I'll swoop you later.